Hello guys. So today we are going to see about what is semaphore. So today we are going to see about semaphore. So semaphore is the thread synchronization technique we use in programming. So semaphore is a thread synchronization mechanism we use to avoid to uh, control the access of shared resource. So basically, a semaphore for for the synchronization, there are many mechanisms we have in our C++, like mutex. Using mutex, we can lock and unlock the critical section of the code. Further, we have a synchronization primitive as mutex. Similarly, a semaphore is the synchronization primitive, and it it is used to control the access of shared resources. Okay, and semaphore is semaphore can be useful when we have finite number of shared resources. So finite number means so mutex will lock, so only one thread can access the shared resource, so it's the exclusive access to only one thread. Whereas in semaphore is used to lock. So semaphore is used to block the thread when we have finite number of resources. So this you will understand later when I explain how semaphore works. So semaphore is just like a counter. So it's just like a counter. So which has an integer value to it. Okay. So if we declare a semaphore, it will have a counter in it internally. Internally, it will have counter. So just remember this now for now. So semaphore follows acquire release mechanism. Okay. So semaphore follows acquire release mechanism. So acquire, what you will do is acquire will decrement the counter, and release, what it will do. So release is opposite of acquire. So it will increment the counter. So acquire will decrement and release will increment the counter. And if any thread tries to acquire the semaphore when the counter is 0, that thread will be blocked until it becomes non-zero value. Okay, so I have already told semaphore is a thread synchronization mechanism, and it will have a counter to it. So if I call acquire to that semaphore, that counter will be decremented, and if I call release to that semaphore, the counter will be incremented. So whenever a thread tries to acquire when it is 0, then it will be blocked. Okay, and we can set the initial value of semaphore to some integer value. Okay, so initially we can set the semaphore to some initial value. Okay, we can initialize it. So for example, so semaphore, if we are setting it to 3 means the counter will be set to 3. So whenever a thread calls acquire, so we can, if I have created a semaphore s with the initial value 3 means, then we can call s dot acquire by any thread. If we call acquire means now s will be counter will become 2 because acquire will decrement the count, and consider another thread is calling acquire. So now s will become 1. Consider another thread is calling acquire. So now the s will become 0. So consider another thread is calling acquire. So now the s is 0. It won't decrement further. So when s is 0, it remains 0 and this thread is blocked here. Whenever it encounters the semaphore.acquire, and at that point if the counter is 0, the thread will be blocked at that point. So it will be blocked until when? So until it becomes non-zero. Until it becomes incremented, it will be on 0. Like the semaphore will be 0 and it will be blocked. So when it will become non-negative, so whenever a thread has called a release, so release if we call, what will happen? It will increment the counter. So s will become 1 and whichever thread is blocked with 0, that will be again decrementing to 0 and it will continue. So if consider release has not called, so so s dot acquire has one thread has called s dot acquire and this is getting blocked, and consider another thread is calling the same semaphore acquire. So now also s is 0, so this thread also getting blocked. So blocked until it becomes non-zero. So consider in some thread has called s dot release. So now the s will become 1. So now two threads are blocked with the semaphore. Now like any one thread only will be able to run the acquire. So if we do release, then any thread, like if many threads are waiting with the s dot acquire, only one thread will be able to access the semaphore and it will decrement the counter to 0, and that only that thread will be continuing its execution, all other thread will be waiting. So whenever it is getting incremented, the other thread will acquire and it will run. So this is the concept of semaphore. Okay, so and one more point is it is somewhat similar to mutex, but mutex mutex, like whichever thread has locked it need to unlock it, but in semaphore whichever thread acquire need not release it. Any thread can release it. So in mutex, whichever thread has locked it, that same thread only need to unlock it. But in semaphore it's not the case. Any thread can acquire and any thread can release. It's just like acquire will increment the counter and release will decrement the counter. It's not related to, it's not that the same thread need to acquire and release. So this is about semaphore. So semaphore is a thread synchronization mechanism. So if you can see, it allows some particular number of threads. If I have initialized to 3 at a time, shared resources can be accessed by 3 threads. So that's why I have told here finite number of shared resources. So if I have an array of size 3, then I can create a semaphore as 3, and each thread can utilize each index. So in that case we can use the semaphore. Similarly, if we have a thread pool of 10, then we can create a semaphore for accessing that thread pool with 10. So whenever a thread is accessing that uh, thread pool, it can acquire, and whenever it is done, it can release. So this is about semaphore. So that's why I have mentioned here finite number of shared resources. Then semaphore is just like a counter. So semaphore internally it will have counter. Then acquire will decrement and release will increment. So if any thread tries to access the semaphore, when the counter is 0, it will be blocked until it becomes non-zero value. So we can set the initial value to some integer, and yeah, so we can acquire and release it. And it is similar to mutex, but mutex will have exclusive access, and the same thread need to unlock whichever has locked, but semaphore is not done like that. Any thread can acquire and any thread can release it. So it's just like increment and decrement. So that's it guys. This is about semaphore. Thank you.